Because so many Americans think getting drunk is fun, we thought you might like to join us in the National Drinking Game. Just answer yes or no to the following 10 questions. Do you talk a lot about drinking?
Only when I'm awake.
Do you drink more than you used to?
I try
Do you gulp your drinks?
to. Only out of a glass.
Do you often take a drink to feel better? Do you drink alone?
Only if I'm stuck.
Do you ever forget what you did while you were drinking? Do you keep a bottle hidden somewhere for quick pick-me-ups?
How does he know?
Do you sometimes start drinking without really thinking about it?
Sometimes.
Do you need a drink to have fun?
I do now.
Do you ever take a drink in the morning to relieve a hangover?
Uh-huh.
Congratulations. If you had 4 or more yes answers, then you may be one of over 9 million Americans with a drinking problem.
Well, good morning, everybody. You already know what fucking time it is. It's time for another episode, so sit back, relax, and let's get this motherfucker started.
Who is that nasty?
Zach will kill you and fuck your bitch.
People pay $1 million for one drop of my sperm.
Okay, what the fuck is going on? Everybody that's sitting down, walking around, doing backflips, getting fucked while listening to this right now. Before I get into a little bit of the story time that I have today, something I just really want to talk about up front. How do I start it? So I've been hearing a lot about age fluidity, right? And if you don't know what age fluidity is, it basically just means that a full-grown man can identify as an 8-year-old boy or an 8-year-old girl if he's, feeling like a girl that day. But a 50-year-old man can identify as an 8-year-old girl. And if he's attracted to an 8-year-old boy, then these fucking sick motherfuckers think that it's natural and should be legal for him to act on those feelings. Have you ever heard of NAMBLA, the North American Man-Boy Love Association? It's a real fucking pedophilia organization that wants their way of life to be normalized. Pedophilia. They want pedophilia to be normalized. And they think the age of consent should be lowered to fucking 4 years old. 4. Where the fuck are we gonna, or when the fuck are we gonna draw the line on all this bullshit identity crap? All these kids are under attack, and where the fuck do you think all the missing kids are going? They're not being taken in by good people that love them and are treated, really well. They're fucking being stolen, and then they're being raped and then killed when they're done being used and, just tossed away like trash. This is something that I feel like we should all be able to, come together for. Black, white, Christian, Buddhist, whatever. I feel like we should all agree on pedophilia and how it needs to be completely just extracted from the human race. Just erased. But, I know there's people out there that are going to have some different opinions than what I have to say, which is fine. But if you feel like the age should be lowered, if you feel like there's nothing wrong with NAMBLA, and this is just how they feel, they can't help who they're attracted to, I just really don't want to associate with you anymore because I don't fuck with pedophiles. Like, man, this seems like, excuse me, this seems like such an obvious thing that we're kind of just letting go. I feel like it's too big of a task and too big of a problem for anybody to want to take on and to try to deal with. They're like, man, this, you can see everything that's going on, and it's such a daunting thing. People are just like, yeah, we're just gonna let that do its own thing. So it's kind of frustrating, but in today's day and age, I really wouldn't be surprised if pedophilia was normalized, as like a condition or something like that, It's fucking weird, man. This is where we've come in humanity. So I'm scared. I'm really scared. But anyway, I just wanted to put that out there in the front that, I've been seeing a lot on social media about age fluidity and all that. But this is what I say to, the whole gender thing. People saying there's like 97 genders, which is just fucking crazy. And being able to change what you think you are all the time. Today you're a boy, tomorrow you're a female, and then you're not anything. You're gender fluid. You go back and forth. Like, what the fuck is that, dude? What do you have, a dick or a pussy? You know what I mean? And it sucks because, it causes a lot of drama and stuff. People are like, oh, why can't you just accept me for who I am? And obviously you couldn't accept you for who you are because you were born with a penis, but you can't accept that. You want to be a female, whatever, that's fine. But don't try to shove all these wannabe trumped up fucking laws that you want to, incorporate into America. Like, it's just so you feel like you belong. You have a mental disability, my man or my woman, whatever the fuck you want to be called. You have a mental disability, and that's fine. You know what I mean? We're pretending like these mental disabilities aren't nothing, and these are the people that are supposed to, are the next generation of people that are gonna, run our country, and that's fucking scary. It's time to dip, guys. 5 to 10 years. Be ready to just peace out, go to another country. Like I said, be a nomad, live off the land like humans were supposed to. Anyway, I got a quick little story that I'd like to tell. So I've talked about my first time in Missouri. The first time I moved to Green Ridge, and I was there for like a year and a half. And then the whole thing with my baby's mom happened, and she was with another dude, they got married, whatever. I had to go back to Washington, and there was a point in time where I was crashing at my Aunt Stacy's house, and I was living on her couch, and in exchange, we kind of worked out a deal. I would babysit her son, and she would throw me, like some money every once in a while, so it was all good. And she gave me a place to stay, and even though I never showered there and I never washed my clothes there, the only thing I did was sleep. It's all good. But she had this car, an Oldsmobile. It was like a 2000 something Oldsmobile. Fuck, what was it? It was one of those really weird looking cars. But so this car was hers for a long time. But it wasn't registered. It didn't have any insurance, obviously. The VIN number was like broken off, like it was like scratched and broken, and pieces were missing. You couldn't read the VIN number. And basically I just think the car was stolen, knowing who my aunt was back then when she had the car, and the way of life she had, I just feel like the car was probably stolen. And not to mention, I didn't have a license either. But she started to feel bad for me. I would spend so much time at her house, babysitting. I never got to go out, hang out with anybody, do anything except babysit and sleep. So one day she gave me the keys to the Oldsmobile, and said, I can take it wherever I want, do whatever, as long as I'm back, eventually. So, I had a car, which was a weird thing for me at this time in my life, because I just kind of lost everything. I had quite a bit going for myself at the time, but, all that was gone, and I had nothing but the clothes that I had. And so I started driving around, with nowhere to go. I would just drive to drive, maybe I was like, maybe someone will see me and think I'm cool or something, kind of. And then I ended up getting a message from this girl that I used to date named Malika. And we used to date. I've talked about her, I think, once in a previous episode. We used to date in junior high. And that was like a short-lived little romance kind of, junior high school romance kind of thing. And what was I saying? Oh, yeah, she hit me up on Facebook one day, and she just asked if I wanted to hang out, and I was like, fuck yeah, perfect timing. I'm going to go pull up on Malika. She's going to think I'm cool because I'm driving a car, Shut up. Don't laugh. I was 18 years old, and I was in a weird place, emotionally, and just everything. I was just in a weird place, mentally, emotionally, and it was just crazy. So I drive. It's like a couple towns over. I drive over there, and she said she's going to be standing in this parking lot next to this apartment complex where she lived. So I pull up, and I'm going like 80 and a 35, trying to look fucking cool, trying to be Mr. Fabio badass. And I pull up, I see her standing there. I fucking jerk that wheel so goddamn hard. Wheels are screeching on the cement, pulling into this parking lot. I'm bumping whatever kind of rap music, like really loud. Just being fucking obnoxious. And I pull up, like I stop right next to her. I'm like, and I'm like, oh, what up? Haven't seen you in a minute. She got in, and we like hugged and everything. And it was weird because I hadn't seen her since the 7th grade or 8th grade, whatever it was. I think it was 8th grade. Yeah, it was 8th grade. And I just hadn't seen her in a while. And, we were both kind of, partially grown up at this time. So she hops in, I take off, and I'm trying to be Mr. Cool, I'm speeding like a motherfucker. I'm still like doing 75, 80 through these residential neighborhoods, through school zones. I'm going like 80, 60, something like that, fucking hitting corners so hard. You got to fucking like grab onto the oh shit handle and like hold on. And I don't know why I drove like that. It's just obnoxious and ignorant to drive like I was driving a fucking race car. But anyway, so we were driving around, not really a whole lot to do. So we went over to my brother's house and we pull up on my brother. We're just like, what's up? And we smoke. We smoke a few bowls. And then we were trying to come up with a plan on like what we should do. And we were like, fuck, let's go to the movies. And I was like, yeah, I'll get you. I'll take you to the movies and all that shit. Like saying like, I'll pay for you to go to the movies. And I did not have money back then. So like even that, I was stressing over that. I was like, fuck, how am I going to pay for this? So here we go, getting in the car. I'm high as fuck. And I probably haven't driven high ever in my life at this point. Maybe once or twice. So I'm super stoned, hop in the car, reality hits. I'm like, what the shit am I doing? I don't have a license. This car's probably stolen. I'm taking this girl to the movies. I'm almost out of gas and I got to drive to the next town. My car was literally on E. I was like, what the fuck am I doing? I don't have money. I don't even have money to buy half a movie ticket. What the fuck? So we drive all the way to Silverdale and we pull up to the movie theaters. And by some fucking luck, by some grace of whatever God, the movies were closed. I was so happy. I was like, oh man, bummer. I was really wanting to see, what the fuck ever, Robin Williams movie or something that was out. And we just went back to her apartment, smoked, drank a little bit. I went back home, and then we started this like pattern where my Aunt Stacy would go to work, I'd babysit Ethan. She would get home, she'd give me like $40-$50 sometimes, and then I would grab the keys and I would take off and I would go over to Malika's house and we would chill, we would smoke, we would fuck. Which we weren't a perfect couple. We got into some fights, She had this ex-boyfriend whose name was also Zach that sorry. Like I said, I live next to the fucking highway, so you might hear some fucking trucks and stuff. She had an ex-boyfriend whose name was Zach, big black dude, so I was, a little self-conscious. But anyway, we did this thing where, I might have talked about this before, but we did this thing where I would take her down to the QVC or whatever it was, something like that. Or CVS, maybe. I don't know, whatever. It was like a store. But it was inside Albertsons. But anyway, I would take her, drop her off at the front, and then I would go find a parking spot, somewhere towards the back. And she would walk in with her giant lady purse, and she would fill that shit with wine or liquor, because back then it was kind of hard to get to the actual liquor. They usually had that behind closed doors or, behind glass or something. This was before they just had, like down here in Missouri, liquor is just on the shelf. Sometimes it doesn't have a security tag on it or anything. I'm completely fucking still amazed by that, and most of the alcohol that we had to steal was wine, champagne, kind of shitty stuff to get drunk on, because it's got a lot of sugar in it, so you end up with hella headaches in the morning, badass hangovers, throwing up the night before because of all that sugar. So she would get like giant fucking bottles of wine, and we'd go back home and we'd just chug these giant bottles of fucking wine. And she had this friend, this gay guy, named Fellow. His name was Fellow, Fellow. And man, I got some fucking, he was along for the ride during some crazy shit. But there was this one time, me and Malika had been dating for a few months at this time, and like I said, we weren't perfect. I'm not a perfect person, I'm human. So there was a lot of girls over at this party, and there was this one Asian girl that was like on my dick the whole night, and I was getting fucked up that night, I was getting shit-faced. And I was out on the little porch walkway thing that the apartments have, and I was standing out there smoking, and then that Asian girl comes out, whatever she was, I don't know, she could have been Filipino, some kind of Asian. And she came out there and she like started rubbing up against me, kind of like grinding on me. And she ended up like being really aggressive, I remember. I don't know, it might just be the fact that I was like really fucking drunk, or she was just rather aggressive. She like grabbed me and started making out with my face and started grabbing my dick and all this shit. And I was like, okay, I was like, whatever. I was like, this is how it's gonna be. And I was really fucked up. I wasn't thinking that I had a girlfriend at the time. I spent so much time, single before that. Not a lot, but enough to change my mindset. But so guess who pops out the window to fucking ruin everything? Fellow pops out the window, scares the shit out of her. She kind of like runs back in the house. And he's like, yo, man, what the fuck? And I'm just like, what's up? And then he's like, yo, you're going to do that to Malika? And I was like, oh, shit. I totally forgot I had a girlfriend, dude. And then he kind of was like, I'm not going to say anything. You know, he was kind of really cool about it. But yeah, he was trying to just give me a lecture and all this stuff. But anyway, that's not the point. We had him hanging out with us all the time. It was always me, Malika, and Fellow. And he was pretty cool. He always knew where to get alcohol. He always had alcohol. And he always had cigarettes that I could bum from him. And I used to drive that fucker everywhere. I would drive him to the store. I would drive him to friends' houses. I would pick him up. You know, it was just like this thing I felt like I had to do for Malika's friend, you know. And then, you know, a few more months went on, and then the winter started to come. So snow started to fall. And hang on. I need my caffeine. So winter was coming, or winter did come. Snow was falling. And I'm still driving. Still no license. Nothing's changed. And me and Malika had this friend from junior high. Her name was Laura. And she lived, you know, in a different area. You know, she wasn't far away, but she lived in a different town. And, you know, one of the places I would take Malika all the time was to Laura's house. And Laura lived a little ways out there. Like, you had to drive, you know, a decent ways through the woods, you know, these small, narrow roads. And it was just a small town where she lived. And she lived at the top of this fucking steep-ass hill. Steep-ass hill. Hard to even fucking walk up it. I don't know why people build houses on this shit. So one night, Malika and Fellow need to go to Laura's house. And I was like, fuck. It was like 10 o'clock at night. We've been smoking and drinking all day. But I was like, all right. We go outside. There's hella snow on the ground. Like, I don't know, 8 inches or something like that. And no snow plows have been out. You know, no ice or salt on the road or anything. And it's just a fucking mess. And I'm sliding everywhere. And I gotta drive, you know, literally 5 miles a fucking hour. And we're like, I don't know, 30, 40 miles out, you know, from where we gotta go. So it was such a fucking long drive. It was like 2 hours before we even got to Port Orchard, which should be, you know, like a 10-minute drive, 15-minute drive. And, but I have to drive so slow. The snow is falling so fucking hard. I can't see shit. I can hardly see, you know, 10 feet in front of me. Sliding, like even going 5-10 miles an hour, the car would start to, you know, go to the side a little bit, going sideways. So, you know, I'd have to like stop, slow way the fuck down, straighten out. And then we got to this place in Port Orchard, next to the movie theater. And, there's this really long fucking hill that you have to, the way I went, I had to go down this hill, but I didn't think about it beforehand. So I went around, I get to the stoplight, and the first hill we had to go down was so fucked. It was a short but very steep hill. I pull up to the hill going literally like a mile an hour. And then I hit my brakes, but we just keep going. And I'm like, fuck, you know, you guys need to hold on. We might not, you know, make it through this one. So we go. I got my brakes engaged the entire time. And then we're like midway down the hill. We're going fast as fuck. And then Malika's freaking out. She's screaming. Fellow's telling me, he's like, bro, You need to try to stop for the stoplight. You need to try to stop for the stoplight. I'm like, bro, do you not see or realize the situation that we're in right now? There's 8 inches of snow on the fucking ground I'm trying to drive on. We're going down a hill. This is a rear wheel drive car. I have fucking no, snow tires, no chains on or anything. I've never driven in the snow before. I was like, what the fuck do you think? What do you think I can do? And I'm slamming on my brakes the entire time. We plow through the fucking intersection. We do like a 360 on the other side. And we fucking slam into a curb hella fucking hard. And, we reassess the situation. I'm like, everybody good? Everybody okay? We're all good? We're straight? So we keep going. After a while, I finally get the car out of that spot. It was a little, slick and stuck. And then we start going down the next hill. And this next hill isn't so bad, but it's slick as fuck. There's got to be ice or something like that underneath the snow. I couldn't tell. So we start going down this hill, and I was a little cocky, and I was hitting the gas. I was like, man, because it was like midnight at this point. And I just wanted to get back home and go to sleep. I was fucked up. I was drunk, super high, tired as shit. Couldn't see where I was going, and driving in the snow just is, super stressful and not fun at all. So we're going, and I'm going, I don't know, 20, 25 now. And Malika and Fellow are kind of tripping. They're like, yo, maybe slow down a little bit. And I'm just like, no, we're good. I know what I'm doing. And then I try to turn my wheel to go around what looks like a pothole, but I turn a little bit to the left and nothing's happening. I'm like, fuck, my steering isn't working. I don't know what the fuck's going on. And then the car slowly just starts, going sideways. And then before you know it, we're backwards going down this hill like we're in reverse. And then we finally do a full 360. We ended up doing like 2 full rotations before we got to the end of the hill. Just slowly going down this hill, slowly spinning and turning. And then we get there and I'm like, okay, cool. It's pretty much straight. We have, one more hill to go down before we got to drive on that long stretch. And we go down the next hill, and it wasn't bad at all because I ended up taking like a way around it through some neighborhoods and stuff. And then we get to the road that leads to Laura's town. And this road is so fucking narrow, and the trees are like so thick and heavy. And it was almost kind of chill driving on that road in those conditions, because I literally had to go, a few miles an hour. The snow's falling really hard. We're like super cheesy. We got like Christmas music playing on the radio, and we're all passing around a bowl. We're just smoking. We're all passing around the pipe, just smoking, hotboxing the car. It was a really nice time. I could say, even though we had a lot of troubles driving and stuff, it was really fun during that section of road. It was just really cool, because we had a lot of good conversation, because it took us like an hour and a half to get down that road, because it's super narrow and windy and everything. And we were playing drinking games also. Never Have I Ever, or whatever the game is called, something like that. Never Have I Ever, Never Have I, or whatever. We were playing that, and we were passing around a bottle of Jim Beam. And, dude, by the time we got to Laura's town, I stopped at the bottom of her hill, and I was so fucking drunk. Like, I got out of my car, and I was, like, stumbling. We're in the middle of the street in this nice suburban neighborhood. And I'm standing there, and I'm like, fuck yeah. Whip out my dick, and I start pissing all over the place, just all over my car, snow. I piss, and I zip my shit up all sloppy, slam back in my car. And then Malika's like, okay, babe, you gonna be all right to get back home? I was like, fuck yeah, man, just fucking, just talking super drunk and, like, just so sloppy and nasty drunk. And then she's like, could you drop me at the top of the hill? And I'm just like, I'm thinking about it, drunk as fuck, and I'm like, fuck yeah, I'll drop you at the top of the hill. So I like try to line up my car straight with the hill, and like I try to back up a little bit, get some speed, back up a little bit, get some more speed, go up, come back down a little bit further, and try to get some speed to go up the hill. I mean, I got like 20 feet up the hill. Barely, going as fast as I could in the snow. And then I was just like, fuck it, I'm gonna have to fucking, you can fucking walk from here. And then she was all mad, but it was literally like 100 yards that she had to walk, so I didn't feel too bad about it. And then I get in my car, I say my goodbyes, and fellow's like, oh man, I totally forget. I get in my car and I start like driving, and I'm like talking to myself. I do that a lot when I'm sober, but when I'm drunk, I really talk to myself. And then all of a sudden, I'm talking to myself, and then all of a sudden, fellow asked me a question, and I freaked the fuck out. I like jerk the fucking wheel, and we slam into this car that's parked on the side of the road. And I like stopped, turned around. I was like, what the fuck? I was like, what are you doing? I was like, aren't you supposed to be with Malika? I thought you got out. I totally forgot about you and all this other shit. And he's like, nah, bro. Yeah, you're supposed to drop me off at blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, whatever. And then I started to look straight out the windshield and realized that we just fucked somebody's car up. Because we hit like a side panel, like the back door and like back rear area by the left driver's side wheel. And it was like a newer car, so it was like all the plastic was like cracked and broken, and the door had a big dent going in. And I was like, fuck this. I just turned my wheel and left and kept going. And I was like, they won't even care because of the snow. They'll be like, oh, someone just had an accident, it'll be all right. My logic in that situation was just out the fucking window. But I drove fellow wherever he needed to fucking go. It wasn't far from where I was at. Dropped his gay ass off. And then I had to make this journey on my own. So drunk. And so high that I just ended up pulling over. I drove for a while until I gave up. And I was in this neighborhood because I was trying to avoid running into cops and just anybody else, really. I was trying to avoid running into anybody on the road. So I just said, fuck it. I gave up. I pulled into this driveway that I thought looked kind of chill. I pulled into the driveway and I crank my fucking seat all the way back. I take my jacket and I like put it over me like a blanket, and I pass the fuck out. And I don't remember how long I slept because it's hard to say because I don't remember what time I went to sleep. But I woke up at like 9 a.m. to someone fucking knocking on my window, and I'm like, oh, who the fuck is waking me up, man? And I turn and I'm like, who the fuck is that? The windows are like pretty foggy and iced over. It's hard to see. So I like crack my door and like poke my head out a little bit. And I was like, who the fuck are you? And then they're like, yeah, who the fuck are you? They're like, you're in my driveway, bro. And I was like, looking around. I was like, fuck. I'm so sorry, man. I just didn't feel like driving home last night in this shit. And then they were like, okay, that's what we thought. We just wanted to make sure everything was okay. Are you all right? And the coolest part about it was these people invited me into their home, let me shower, gave me breakfast. They gave me gas money, like $25 or something like that. Coolest fucking, one of the coolest experiences ever. Like, you wake up, imagine in your house, you wake up one snowy morning, you just go to check on, the weather to see how much snow fell last night. And you see a strange car in your driveway. You're like, what the fuck is going on? So upon further investigation, you go out there and see that there's a dude passed out in the car in your driveway. And then you knock on the window. You want to know what's going on. And then you just decide to bring this stranger in your house with your children. They had young children. let me shower, feed me breakfast, give me some money. They didn't ever once mention God or anything like that. Like when I got out of the shower, I was like, fuck, dude, they're going to want to pray for me. They're going to want to do all this other shit. They didn't once say anything about church or God or, repenting from my sins or anything like that. They were just being good fucking human beings. And I don't think I'll ever forget that. Mr. and Mrs., whatever the fuck your name is, I appreciate the fuck out of that. It was just so cool. And that lady knows how to fucking make some waffles. I don't know what she did to those waffles. Maybe she put brown sugar and cinnamon in them or something. They were so fucking bomb. It was like, you walk into like a Joanne Fabrics or a Michael's or something, you get that like cinnamony Christmas smell. Just imagine that, but waffles. And that's what they tasted like. It was so fucking good. Her scrambled eggs were fluffy as shit. Bacon was crispy as hell. Toast was nice and buttery and crunchy. I don't know why I'm talking shit about this breakfast. It's just, you never know. You never know when you're going to meet some really cool people. So, or you never know when you could meet your next best friend either. I've met some really weird people in really strange situations. Like I met a guy on a Greyhound bus, and the way he dressed, the way he looked, he was all punk rock and grunge. He had like a braided mohawk, like giant braids that just went up, and then he had a braided fucking beard. He had like 2 spikes that came off of his chin that were like 8 inches long with beads in them. He had, crazy shitty tattoos all over the place. He was wearing a leather jacket over a wife beater in the middle of summer. He was wearing black jeans and like knee-high lace boots, kind of like a grunge Nazi. But he was the coolest fucking guy ever. His name was Shinbone. Like, oh, I just hit my shin on something. His name was Shinbone. His parents fucking hated him. Like, your last name's Bone. Why are you gonna give him a name that's actually a bone? It just was so weird. Like, your name's Shinbone? But one of the coolest people I've ever fucking met. I have him on Facebook, and we still talk every once in a while. And, he's got go figure, he's got a grunge band called the Napalm Bats. And they're actually kind of good. I mean, he's into drugs and stuff, so don't get me wrong. Everybody has, their vices and, has their sides, whatever. But you never know. You fucking really never know when you're going to meet someone totally fucking cool and awesome. So just keep that in mind. Wherever you're at, wherever you're going, keep that shit in mind. But anyway, yeah, I used to drive the fuck out of that illegal car all over the place. I used to speed and drunk drive more often than not. So chances are if I was driving around Bremerton in that Oldsmobile, I was either super high, super drunk, or both. Usually was never sober. Anyway, I got more stories of that. I can tell. There was so many crazy, little adventures that I went on in that car, and so many weird and strange people that I picked up and drove around in that car too. It was almost like I was a taxi service, but just an illegal taxi service. Anyway, so yeah, hope you guys enjoyed that a little bit. I feel like it's been a while since I've hopped on here and recorded anything. It's honestly been about a week. So it feels good to get back in the rhythm. I fucking love you guys for sitting here listening to my bullshit stories. Before it's too late, I say this at the end of every episode, before it's too late and everybody in your family is dead, go do something with them. Give them flowers, tell them how much you love them, because you never know, going over to grandma's house tonight, you could die on your way there in a car accident, or die on your way coming home in a car accident, or whatever, get kidnapped, get murdered. Hate being negative, but you got to be realistic as well. So, make the most out of every moment with your loved ones, because it's just that special and it's just that important, regardless if you die or not. Even if you have a full, long, 100-year life, that'll be what they remember about you. So just think about your motherfucking legacy you're gonna leave behind. Let it be a good, loving, caring, and positive legacy. Until then, just keep listening to my bullshit. I appreciate you guys so much. So until next time, stay up and watch the fuck out for pedophiles.